Thanks for stopping by the Noisy Chair podcast, and to let everyone know why the creation of the Noisy Chair podcast happens. People want to share their story, their concerns, being loud. I'm here to listen, have an opinion, talk to people, talk about people in a good way. Sometimes that's what this is all about. So it's just an open format conversation. My name is Dave, DJ Dave. Love being part of this new journey with amazing people on my podcast. My special guest from the UK, who has made a name for himself here in North America as a DJ and producer, Col Lawton. Welcome, Col, to the show, man. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for asking me, mate. Thanks for asking me. Appreciate it.
No, listen, it's great. I mean, unfortunately, we have to do this virtually. You know, obviously, we're across the pond, so it's a bit of a hike to get out there. But your whereabouts in the UK are you at now?
Yes, so I am in the northeast of England, so Newcastle. Do you know Newcastle at all? So yeah, we're city of Newcastle, but I live on the coast, which is called Whitley Bay. Lovely place, right on the seashore.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. What's typically the weather like out there? And
So the weather in Newcastle, cloudy and wet.
That's every day, or what?
No, we get probably about 2 weeks in the summertime when it's nice and sunny.
Oh man!
But jokes aside, we're close to Scotland, so we're classed as the north, and the north's always cold. But our cold it's not that bad, to be honest, mate. It's sunny cold today. You know, when it's sunny but a nice fresh day. It's a nice day.
Yeah, for sure. That's good, man. That's good. Dude, you were one busy man. I mean, I'm looking through your social media. I mean, like you've got a ton of activities, radio stations. I know you have a label that we're going to talk about, and you work full time. You have a family. Yep. You know, explain how your day goes. I mean, like your day is like, I don't know how you even fit that all in one day. So tell us a bit about what what you have got going.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. Funny when I put things on Facebook, because quite a lot of people always say, "Do you ever sleep?" And my joke is like, I sleep for an hour on a Sunday. That's what I always come back and say, which is like,
exactly.
It's funny because how I work, it's full on. Put it that way. It's been full on for 5 years now, and I made a decision 5 years ago, like what I was doing with music, that if you don't put your all into it, I'm never going to achieve the things I want to achieve. So this is me into my 5th year of really just giving it everything, to the point where if I mention me daily business through the week, I do work full time. It's 9 to 5. My job, I travel all over the place with my job. So when I travel, music comes with us. So if I'm in hotels, I'm producing in hotels. If I'm away for a few days, the computer's with us. If I'm on a train, I'm making music on the train. I'm sitting there making beats, messing on, taking samples. But on a typical day, it would be up early in the morning, do a few social bits, have a listen to some music I probably made the day before, and then start doing some work. If I'm on calls, Zoom, team meetings or whatever, doing your daily stuff. Dinner break, I'm back on listening to music, listening to the promos, probably putting things together, ready for the radio show I'm going to be recording that night. Finish work, first thing I'll do after work, I'll be straight on decks, record, put a mix together, send it off to the radio station, and then the rest of my night would be kind of messing on with music and trying to get things finished off and make music. But there is a cut-off time with the wife, mind. There's a 9 p.m. curfew. It's like at 9 o'clock, you will be in the front room to watch a program from okay. So that's kind of like how it goes. You know what I mean? I just squeeze every spare minute. I just squeeze in time to do stuff with music. And I think there's a lot of people doing that, not just me. You know what I mean? If music was full time, you know what I mean? Life would be easier. I could do a lot more. You know what I mean? But people say what I'm doing.
If music was your life full time, then you'd be, that'd be your choice from 9 to 5. So then you'd still have your family life at 9 o'clock curfew, just like we all do sometimes, right? So it happens. I mean, listen, it's typical. We have the same style. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, like I work full time in a car business. I mean, I run a car shop, and and my music and my podcasts are all generated during the day. As I'm working during the day, I drum up like, okay, shit, this sounds pretty good, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to call this guy or this person. And so then, the 9 to 5 is the bread and butter, but the 5 to 9 at nighttime, that's the fun stuff, but also make some money. But, so we're hustlers, like, we have that ability to keep going, in this world of like our minds are going a million miles an hour, and slowing down is sometimes not an option, but it has to be. That's why a 9 p.m. is a good time to slow down, right?
Yeah. But then, you try and switch your brain off before you go to bed, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, my brain's full of stuff. But I always say as well, please, men can multitask. Trust me, we can.
Women should hear this. Men can multitask. We can. Oh, yeah. Where do you get your ideas from when you're creating music?
Just a mood, really, how I'm feeling at the time. I've always had that with music. That when I first started putting music together, I was never trying to make music for a certain place or label or whatever. I was just trying to express myself, So I'm a sampler. I'm a sampler of me. You know what I mean? I don't play. I'm not musically trained, so I look for sounds and samples, and I just go by how that makes us feel, and then I build it from there. Really, just the process.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, listen, there's some musicians that really know they can pinpoint or make the music. And there's guys people like me that cannot play an instrument, but yet we can all pick out some good music and good beats and know what sounds great. And, like we can get ideas from a sound we hear somewhere down the line while driving by or on the radio or something. And it's like, oh, that sounds good. Or I can mix it with this, right? So I guess, you're right. Depends on the mood,
Of course.
If you're in a good mood,
you can't force it, can you? I see a lot of people force music and it doesn't work. Sometimes
you can't just go to the studio and say, okay, I'm going to create a beat. I got to do this. I got to create this, I don't do a ton of producing. I do more of just a, remix on the fly of some music and so forth. But you as a producer, I guess you just got to, you sort of, do you have like a certain style of beats that you work with all the time, or it could be any style of beats?
Any style, honestly. It's like depending where I start, you know what I mean? It just kind of like goes. I've taught myself to have sort of like I have a pattern, like a process that I go through, which took a while because I've had to teach myself how to produce. I've had to learn, how to do all this, but I've kind of like found my way of piecing together. I see music as a jigsaw for me. That's how I look at music. I'm putting a puzzle together. I'm quite good at puzzles, so this is how I put my music together. I put it together in a certain format, and every now and then I'll mix up the puzzle and maybe do it backwards. Let's start with a bass line today, and let's mess it just to keep it interesting for you as a producer. Keep the flow, try different things. Yeah,
of course, man. Hey, interesting. I mean, like the idea of the puzzle idea, because it's exactly what it is. You're just placing the puzzle, piecing together, and hopefully it sounds great. And that's what it is. So you have a family as well. How many? You have one child.
One child, mate. A little boy called Harry. Yes.
Nice.
Very big influence. Big influence in everything I'm doing with music.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. Even like on the music side, is he into music?
He is. Yeah, we've made a couple of songs together. He's only 8, and the first one we were was Harry's Beat, which he picked out the drums and stuff, and it did really well. And we've made another one, which is actually signed to Salted Music. It's coming out quite soon on like one of the VAs. And but at the minute he's kind of retired. At the minute he's telling me he's having a break. He's getting too famous. I was like, okay.
semi-retired, semi-retired.
But I just try to influence him and into. I'm trying with the music. I've always been trying to show him if you just put your mind and soul into something, you can achieve it. That's kind of like what I'm trying to show him.
Yeah, man. As a father, it's a way of life. Just try and teach him the way of life of how you were taught, and hopefully we were taught the nicer way. But shit now happens with with what's going on in the world, and then we have to adjust and cope and move forward. So
I am still trying to get some cool points off him as well. So when he does realize that his dad is quite cool.
Exactly. Harry, is daddy cool? Not yet, man. Not yet. You just got just a little bit, Oh man, I know. Um, Now, when you're producing music and I want to step back a bit too. You have a company that's called Deep Fix Records,
Yes.
and that's a label company. And I guess you're with like there's a company made up of a few partners. Like you have Wes Hall and Robbie Robinson, still part of Deep
Yes.
Fix.
Yes, yeah. There's four. So there's four people
Okay,
involved. So you got myself, Wes Hall, like you say, Robbie Robinson, and Brian Jordison, who's kind of like does all our logistics and behind the
gotcha.
scenes stuff. You know what I mean? I'm really pleased with how well Deep Fix recordings is going, mine. So it's like again another thing that came from doing this music is
Right.
discovering Wes. Really, Wes was the brains behind the label. He was the one who approached
Hmm.
us originally to set it up. But I just like the ethos that we do, like how we're really friendly, we're approachable, we're trying to run a label where it's all about the producer. It's not about the music, it's about the producer. We're trying to support the producer to get heard. And I think that's kind of like really standing out with a lot of people at the minute because the music is saturated, you know what I mean, with producers,
Oh, of course there
sounds,
is.
you know what I mean? All the big names are at the top because they've been around forever. So when you're a little fish and you're trying to get somewhere, you need the label like ourselves, I think, to trust you and push you in the right direction to get you heard. And that's kind of
Hmm.
what where we see ourselves fitting in that bracket.
Gotcha. I mean, and how many sort of producers are under your wings right now?
I think last count, I think there's probably about 12, maybe 15 now over the last 2 years. Um,
Awesome, and they're active, pretty active on
Pretty
producing.
active, yeah. People are coming back this year. People are coming back from last year. We've found some new ones that are going to get
Okay.
introduced and some VA stuff that we've coming out. But yeah, we're just happy. We want to work with hungry producers, you know. So if you do come to us
Right.
and then we put your music out and you don't really do any promo and you don't really put the effort in, it's not
Hmm.
enough for us. We want
Right.
hungry people. Me and Wes are hungry for music. We're always promoting. We're always helping people. That's who we want to come onto our label. We're looking for the similar fit to fit what we're doing, you know, because it's a partnership,
Okay.
isn't it? If they're hungry, it helps us.
Sure.
We're
Oh, of
hungry, we'll
course it
help them.
does. Of
It's a
course.
partnership. Yeah.
Of course it is. When did you start this label?
2 years ago, 2022. So we're
Okay.
literally 20. Yeah, we're 2 years old now. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great, man. I mean, it's you also know Jackman,
I do.
Jackman Jones here. Yeah, Ty. He's a cool cat. He's
Yeah.
a good friend of mine. We worked together a ton of projects, and not the music producing side of it, but just a lot of behind the scenes of shows, and he does some work with us in our car business as well.
Yeah.
Cool cat. I mean, like, are you taking producers like across North America or just in your area type of
Oh
thing?
no, no. North America, we've got Americans, all kinds of people from all over the place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Jackman, great example. I'm watching Jackman's story all the time. He's doing brilliant now. He's producing over
Yeah.
the last 2 years. It's just took off. And when we started working
Okay.
together, we made a few tracks. You know, giving some tips, and he's took
Yeah.
it on board. He's the kind of person that will always be working with Jackman because he's hungry. He's
Right.
approachable, and like you say,
Right.
he's a good person. He wants to
Yeah.
do well, you know, and that's all we're looking for. But we've got Brett Starr on the label. We've got Jason Merle on the label now. Obviously,
Hmm.
Sensei is on the label,
Yeah.
who I work with quite often.
Yeah.
We like working with the Americans, to be honest, because they have our sound. And that's the kind of sound we
Right.
want with Deep Fix. You know, we've got
Right.
that kind of niche sound that we're looking for when we're working with people. Yeah.
Are
So
you more into getting more into the deep house, or is you mixing up all type of genres under that
yeah,
house music style, or you just how's
we're
that
gonna
going?
keep it. We're kind of like we're tinkering on the idea of like a sister label and all the rest of it, and then we were like, but let's stay niche. You know what I mean? Let's not, because I think too many labels overspread themselves. Like then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
we're going to do soulful now. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, and it's like
Right.
another
Right.
another bit of saturation for labels. So we're going to stay okay. If you're deep with deep jacking, with deep minimal, with deep house, you
Right.
know what I mean. We'll stick to the
Yeah.
deep. We'll still have that same sound that flows through the label
Yeah.
because that's what fans like. You know that when a deep fix
Sure.
track comes out, they'll know what kind of sound it's going to have. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's what we talked about earlier. Is like, there's a certain pattern of music, like per producer. You know, like you'd see, that other DJs or producers that have a certain style of music, that when you start hearing them for the first 10 seconds, who they are, right? There's always like a pattern. And, I guess the Americans or even the Canadian side of things of producers, like where there's a ton of music and a ton of talent everywhere around the world. It's just trying to find it. I don't know. And are you just more just promoting yourself socially, or do you have like a team that does it? Did one of your partners do a lot of promotions, or how do you guys get known across the world?
As a label?
Yeah, as a label.
Yeah. So we work with Paradise. So Paradise Entertainment is our distributor, who are really good. Okay. They do a great job of, especially on like platforms like Spotify, doing posts, promoting music. Everything that comes off our label gets promoted through their sort of streams. The other side is we have somebody who runs our Instagram page, who promotes on Instagram for us. And then you've got ourselves, me and Wes, who do the socials. But we've kind of like created a Deep Fix and Friends page. So people on there, when something comes out, it gets promoted directly to people who we know are interested in the music. And then one other thing that we do, we have this like super promo list where we picked out, I think there's about 10 names on there of very active radio stations and producers who solely get our music and they directly play it, and they have a big audience. So we're being quite clever about it. We're not, when people say your label, sometimes you just think it's just somebody who likes music and they're putting it out, which sometimes that is all that's happening. But in Deep Fix, there's a team of producers, people who understand social media, people who understand the behind the scenes of platforms of how to get your music streamed and listened to. You know what I mean? So coming together, we're kind of like we'll have the formula to make it work.
That's true. It's very true, man. I mean, it's you're the business side of it. You are doing it proper. It's tough to do everything on your own. Like you cannot do everything on your own and expect to grow like this. Really, in a certain time. But you have a great team. It sounds like you do, and your social media side and so forth. I think it's great. I mean, have you met a ton of big name DJs, like, the old school DJs type of stuff, producers, over the time, I guess, like, I don't know, name some producers that you've met. I don't know. I know there's a ton of them, like, I guess, like a good cat, Booker T, Gary, he's, awesome guy to talk to. He's met a ton of people, and who sort of like down the pipeline have you met?
Yeah. So my guru, the person who I look up to and who took us under his wing, and if I ever need any kind of advice, he's there. Is Art Jazz. So Martin Iverson. So Art Jazz.
Art Jazz. Yeah.
Art Jazz is from my area. He's not too far down the road. I got introduced to him about 2 years ago through a friend, which I was blown away. Actually, like, phone calls ringing, and it's Art Jazz ringing, is thinking, oh my God, what do I say? Oh, nervous. But now he's a lovely man. I work with his label. If I get stuck with stuff, I send him a message. He gives a call. On his streams and Instagram, he mentions us a few times as being the hardest working producer in the country right now. Just little things like that just mean gold to you when you're really trying to get heard. Exactly. And then the second person has to be Jesse Saunders from over your way. Last year was a big year for me. I met Jesse, became friends with Jesse, did 3 remixes for him. I've released on his label now. He's asked us to do a little paragraph for his new book in their own words, the next chapter, so I need to get that done. But
that's
again,
excellent,
it's just amazing to have a stream with Jesse like this, and chatting with him. It was another nervous moment. But when you meet these people, these are the people who have been around forever, and you've listened to their music. It's really like it blows your mind a bit that you kind of managed to get to this place where you're able to see and meet these people.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, I mean, you got, and I'm familiar with that jazz. I mean, I play a ton of their music, their mixes, and they got a great style of music. I love it. So I incorporate that in my sets. I mean, fantastic. Jesse's he's a cool cat, man, in Vegas, and he's just, he's enjoying himself. He's a good guy. He was a great guy on my show, and his book was phenomenal. I read his book, and he, like, I mean, he's to hear his story where, back in the 60s, just where it started, and the 70s, and how that all hit. I mean, to me, sometimes I wish I would have loved to have been back there at that time.
I know. You do, when you hear that, you think, if I'd just been there then, things would be so different now.
Unbelievable. I know. It probably would have been different.
Yeah.
But I guess now are there in your area, when you first started, I guess you've always been in the UK when you grew up. Music wise, how did you start this, like when you're a young lad? Tell us a bit about that. It's
a funny one, because I was born in the late 70s, and then found music in the 80s. So I'm an 80s child for music. I mean, like, even today I listen to 80s
same here, man.
Every single day on the radio. Like, I can never get enough of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then come into the 90s. I have a sister, and she's 10 years older than me. So whatever she listened to influenced me, being 10 years younger. So when she was dancing around listening to Wham with a hairdryer in the bedroom, I'm listening to Wham through the door at the same time, thinking, oh, this is cool. Yeah. So I grew up listening to quite a lot of music she was into, but it wasn't until the 90s really when I started discovering. It was more like off the telly, like chart shows on a Saturday morning. We're listening to the latest chart shows when they were on the telly, and then going down to the local record store with me sort of like pocket money that week, or money I'd saved up from doing my paper round, and trying to find the latest tape or latest CD, and then latest bit of vinyl. I mean, like, my taste was crazy, man. I could have went from buying sort of like MC Hammer doing a reminiscence of the Addams Family to Bartman doing the Bartman. Just like, what was I thinking back then? But after a while, I fell into the pop culture of like Oasis, Blur, indie music, Nirvana. You know what I mean? The years started opening up to not just 80s music now, but to all this new indie stuff, which was really influential in the UK. The pop era was a big thing. So it wasn't until probably early 2000s when I sort of finally discovered nightclubs, proper nightclubs, not the cheesy nightclubs with the cheesy music that you're quite used to when you're a kid, but actually going to a club in Newcastle called the Shindig, which was the first, I would say, big house night underground in Newcastle. And to be honest, Dave, coming to this nightclub and then coming out of it, my whole perceiving on music changed, because I was blown away by hearing this music, just this amazing deep defected house music at the time, early 2000, just Roger Sanchez at his best at the early days, you know what I mean, all the good stuff. And for religiously, probably for about 5-6 years, every weekend I was in that club, not non-stop with my friends.
Wow.
Today, Robbie, Wes, Brian, all were met in that club. We all met in that club. So like we have a connection through music, through going to this club. And that's kind of like where music started for me. It was early 2000 for house music, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's like to drop names like Roger Sanchez and hearing them, when they're peaking at, at their highest point of house and going to those different clubs. Yeah, I think everyone started off that way. Like, we go to different bars, different clubs, and there are cheesy ones that that you don't want to be at. They're sketchy, and it's like they play the shitty kind of music, and it's not proper. Then you get introduced to people. They're like, oh no, you got to come over here. You got to come down here. And it may be even out of town where you had to go and see to go to a club. But I love that stuff where we can just hear that music and then it resonates with you and it just sticks with you, and it like you can probably now say to yourself, I remember that way back then. It's
we talk about it all the time, me and the lads, about the Shindig, and we've tried our best to say, let's reproduce the sound of Shindig back in Newcastle. It doesn't work because everyone's moved on. The kids have moved on. We were kids then. The music scene's changed so much now that sound is kind of like, if you played it now, the only people that remember it is us, the older people from the Shindig, but we've all got kids now, and not many of us go out very often. So it's like, So like the culture now is such a change in music, the tech housey style, the different. It comes round in circles. Or I always say it'll come back round again at some point. The music always does that. It cycles round.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, many a happy day in Shindig. It was very good.
Many memories happen there, stuff you may not even want to remember or you don't want to say anymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Did you get into DJing at all when you're growing up?
Yeah, that's kind of when it started for me. So 2002 was the year that I thought, okay, I really like going to the club and watching these people play, but I found myself, I was on the dance floor a lot, and then all of a sudden I'm standing at the booth watching, because this is me all day long. Like if I love something, I want to I throw myself into it. I want to learn it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, so man, watching these people on these decks and that, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I need to do some of this. I need to learn. And that's kind of where that all triggered off from then, from like, okay, I need to go and get some decks now, get some records, and then go and torture myself for the next 7 years trying to mix them in.
Torture yourself.
Trying to learn.
Oh yeah. Hey man, you got to learn your mistakes right at the beginning.
Oh yeah. I think if you learn on vinyl, I'm sure you must be a vinyl DJ back in the day as well.
Right.
Mixing on CDJs and stuff now, my God, it's a piece of pig compared to when you first get your vinyl and you're like trying to learn to beat match. My God, and they're on belt drives. You're like, Jesus, these belt drives are useless. You know what I mean? Just like, but that kind of gives you the skill to learn it, doesn't it? Once you've got it, you understand.
Absolutely, man.
You get that correct. Yeah,
absolutely. And I don't mind that today's kids, and like I say, today's cats like that come up like these people that love love music, but then all of a sudden they call themselves producers because they have a laptop and a drum machine, and it's like you need that years of experience to create that. It's like Deadmau5 said is like he said you get a laptop and a drum machine, anybody could be a producer, but you just need that experience skill set of that. And there's so many people out there that think they're all producers. And I'm glad that, they're getting into it. Music is a great sanctuary to be in and to do it. But to call themselves a producer without having years of experience, I'm sure you see a lot of that, people sending records and music over to you.
Yeah, there's a great thing that Jesse Saunders said to us once. He says, because he asked to do a remix, and I was like, Jesse, look, like I'm like nowhere near your level, mate. Like I'm a sampler. I can do what I can do. But what he said he says, doesn't matter how you make music, as long as you make it well. And he says, you make it well. But what he said as well is that I can hear in your music, how to make music, that's the key. Because we are very similar when we were chatting, because I always ask the producer, what's the story behind the track? And Jesse always says to me, that's exactly what I do as well. Tell me the story behind the track. Because if you are older and you understand music, you've made this track because there's a journey. There's a story inside every track. There should always be a story. But if you're just a young with a drum machine just making some sounds and putting it out there, it's like, is there a story behind the track? Because house music is a feeling. It's meant to be a journey. You know what I mean? You've got to keep to the roots, haven't you? Like where I'm at the roots of this. Like I make music because there's a story. Like I'm trying to express myself. That's what you do as an artist. You're putting your soul, heart and soul in it. Yeah. So I've always stuck to that blueprint. Just as long as you're making something with a feeling.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's a good way to put it too. The feeling, house music is a feeling. There's a story behind everything. If you can, if they tell you what kind of story it is, you can build upon that. Yeah. People who just make beats and try to sell it to make money is like, there's no story behind it. They're just making beats and selling it.
We've started doing this in Defix this year, because obviously after we sat down for this year's music and we said, okay, so every release we put out this year, we put a full video radio edit made professionally about the song, and that's what I mean. Wes was saying, so if the producer doesn't have a story for the song, it doesn't get signed, because I want the video to have a story showing.
Oh, cool.
And that's for the producer. That's what I'm saying to the producer. This is your chance where you can make your story come alive. Like make us something that's meaningful. And like producers should like that. I like that. If someone was coming to me saying that's all I want to do, I'm thinking, man, you're going to like portray what's in my head through music on a picture now, which is like, I'll have a bit of that, because that's what you want.
Awesome.
To show. Yeah.
You don't see that. You don't see that at all. At all. Even when I'm talking to other producers, it's like they don't even talk about the video or even talk about a story. They just talk about, create the next greatest beats. But I love that concept you got going there, man.
Yeah. So the first one that's come out, so Vinny, our friend, just had his first release this year, and it's called New York Fresh. And the story behind that one is that he's never been to New York, but this is what he thinks New York sounds like. And he built a track around how he thinks it sounds. So it's got different sort of cultures in the tracks. It's not, it's really good. I love this idea. So what we did is we found an artist to draw New York, video recorded. So by the time she finishes drawing after 4.5 minutes, it portrays what New York looks like for Vinny. So that's him showing that he's never been, but this is what my drawing would look like if I could draw it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that we're trying to do, which I think separates us from others. And that's what we're trying to find our lane. You know what I mean? This is our lane. We're going to go down this route. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know every city has a different style. Like you have Chicago, Detroit, New York. Even in the UK, there's different styles of the sounds that you're going to get from it. Like Chasm in Chicago, Househead Speaks, good guys out there, and they have that certain style of house, the Chicago house. And when I went to go visit, I didn't visit them, but we went with Chicago, and it's like the music is the music sounding is so different than you would go to New York, or you'd go to Detroit, or you go to Toronto or the UK. Everybody has their own different sounds of it. And that sound has been there since like almost day one of when house started. So it always keeps going, and they build upon that. And I love that. No one's changing it to say, oh no, we're gonna go this route now for that sound, and then that's what we're gonna do is that. Everyone starts to have little roots of what it was back then, and build it up from that, which I really like to see and hear still today. I like the business side of the Deep Fix Records, and how do you like if a DJ, if I say to you, Cole, listen, I got a track I want to send to you to listen, and if you enjoy it, what happens from there?
Yeah, so first of all, if someone wants to come on the label, we direct them to our webpage, which has like a set of rules of when you want to send a demo. And the only reason we set out the rules is because we want people to read them, so then they actually are serious about sending us a demo that they haven't already sent to 55 other people before it comes to us. So if it comes to us and it's got 55 plays on it, I'm thinking, okay, you didn't read the demo, you didn't read the rules. And the rules are just really simple around saying we just want some exclusivity. If you're sending us for the first time and you've made it for us because you've listened to our sound, that's all we're asking for. So if it comes through, what happens is myself and Wes, we lead on the demos. So we get together quite quick, actually, because we hate letting people wait, because that's another thing about sending promos. Sometimes you can wait 5-6 weeks for people to listen. You know what I mean? We're like, okay, we'll get this done within at least 5 days. We'll have a good listen. And what we love doing as well is that if we think the track isn't right, we'll go back and try and encourage the producer to change it, to like say, okay, are you open for if we could help you to fix this, because we're both producers. What about this? What about that? If we can work with you, we'll work with you to try and get it signed. Depends on the response of the person we send it to. I love it when the producer comes back and says, oh, this is great, I really want to work with you, because that means, okay, we've got somebody here who understands we're trying to help. We're not have no ego or anything. We're just trying to make sure the track fits right for what we're trying to release. The other thing that we do, because of all the links I've got, is that if the track isn't the right sound, I'll go back and say, okay, do you want to send the demo to such and such on this label? I know that you'll like it because I'm friends with this label. I'm friends with this label. Why don't you send it here? And I always say, just let them know that we've sent you over to them, because we're all about connecting. We're in this together. So like, we're never going to sit as a label and say, oh no, these are all ours. We're like, oh no, if it doesn't fit us, let's help them find people who we know that are good people in the business that will look after their music as well. And that goes down really well. People love that we're doing that.
That's great. No, I think
that's if it gets signed, it's all good, because Wes does the mastering. He'll master the track, get all ready, get the cover sorted out and all the rest of it. And what we always do, we always give the person a date for when the track is coming out, so they know for their schedule that, okay, it's coming out on the 5th of June, it's done, ready to go.
Right. Do you sometimes have to master it a bit if it, or do you just send it back to them and say, listen, this is what I want you guys to do, master it or change up a little bit, and so you won't touch their track afterwards?
No, we master it. We will fully master it, but we'll go back and say, can you just do a few little tweaks here, there, and everywhere? We don't charge them for mastering. We do it ourselves. Again, it's another thing that we do. We say, look, we respect that you give us the music. We'll master it.
Yeah.
And we'll get it ready for them. And then we'll send it over them, make sure that they're happy with the sound. And then if they're all, then they'll sign the contract and we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, especially your filtration system in the beginning about reading the rules first. It filters people out saying nobody reads it or just want to send it out to you and send the music to you. It's brilliant that you created a pattern in the beginning, because it's like everybody, as a company, you'd want to be excited to have people send in their music to you, but if they don't. If you're just like, sending music and for the sake of it, you could have hundreds and hundreds of tracks that people are going to wait 6 weeks before you get back to them. And I think the whole procedure you have about reading the rules, setting this, are you open to suggestions coming back? That filters out a lot of people saying, fuck it, you know what, forget it. I'll just go somewhere else and send it off, So big up to you guys on how that process is working for you, and you're just, you're getting the right, I guess you're getting the right feed of people coming through. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it works. It's working well. I'm happy. Yeah. We still get the odd same person sending the same one with, again, 55 players and not read the rules. I'm thinking, bloody hell, just read the rules, man.
I know. Read the rules, So when they sign the contract, obviously you have a legally binding contract that you work with, and they get, so the track comes to you, you get it all, you get them signed on the label, they're under your wing. Now you have a team that puts it up on like the platforms that sell it, and TrackSource. That's a big one for you guys up across there.
Both really, TrackSource and Beatport. They are the two main more for DJs, isn't it? It's for players, for other DJs to find music to play. But it's not the be all and end all for the back end of a label. YouTube is a big one, because YouTube with the videos and getting subscribers is a big thing for labels to get royalties for the producer as well through YouTube. Obviously, Spotify still sits there as a I don't know, a yin and yang, isn't it? It's horrible for the producer. I'm in this position myself as producer for money off it, but it's a big platform for players. You know what I mean? For the producer to get heard. So we pitch music on there for all the producers, for editorials and big playlists, hoping that we can land one of them for them as well, so they can get some good outstream. So they're kind of like the main areas.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's typical patterns of platforms we have out here. YouTube and Spotify. YouTube is. I guess it depends on everyone's preference. We do have a ton of DJ streamers. You can buy their tracks. You can buy their sets on there. To get it on the radio, obviously you have. To get that, you can't just send the radio station the track and say, here, you got to play it. Obviously, you got to make a connection with the station, and them and say, hey, listen, we've got this upcoming artist here. Try this track out, or you created it, you produced a track, and you have that connection with the radio station to do that.
So we have something called BBC Introducing in England.
BBC, yeah.
Yeah, so you can kind of like send 2 tracks every month to the BBC, your local BBC channel. And if they pick it out and they like it, they can play it on the national radio, basically, which is a really good thing. But then internally, there's quite a lot of B-side, C-side radio stations, meaning you can get on Deep Radio with the people who we're involved with. There's a ton of other radios, and this is where when our secret super promo list comes into play, because they're the ones that we send the music to, knowing fine well they'll get aired on these other shows. But yeah, getting on the BBC, I managed to get on there a few times. It's not easy, but we send every month, 2 tracks, send them over. You never know. You never know if they're going to play them or not.
Yeah, you never know.
No.
That's pretty good. I mean, I think I had Gary Smith, DJG from the UK. He was on my first episode, and I think he works for the BBC Radio. Does some work for them. He was talking about the production side and sending it off the radio and so forth. I just figured, like, I've never done that, so I don't know what the process is all about. And I'm sure internet radio.
Yes.
To be honest, the internet radio has, I would think, a lot more listeners, engagement listeners, longer engagement listeners, let's say, that listen to internet radio than actual radio station airwaves, at least here, because obviously internet radio, anybody could just have it on their phone. They can play it. They know people that have been on it, and there's just a ton. So I think sending it to the internet radio stations probably would work out great, because there's a ton of them around, that play, and they have a good following, good following of people. I guess growing up, house music was always your thing. I mean, you talked about the 80s, you talked about, hearing all different types of music from when you're growing up to become this producer. Do you still listen to the indie, the mainstream, just to get ideas to build upon?
Yeah. Constantly, mate. Yeah. I think if you look at the history of music, all the good 70s and disco and the samples and the Jack and House stuff, they're all flooded still with all the same sounds back. There's so many good sounds that came from that era. That you can't mess around with. Even to indie music, I know Wes is a wizard at this. Wes loves remixing and sampling sort of like rap music and hip hop and Biggie and even Nirvana. He's done a one with Sting or REM. There's so many. He did an amazing one with Phil Collins, Against All Odds, which he's got as like a free download. So, people still remember. People still connect to all them sounds from back then.
They do. They do. And the reason why I say that, because it's like, I still DJ private events, and I'm at that age where it's like the 80s is still a big thing for people. So when you're DJing a crowd and you throw in some remixes with all the, even Duran, you have just all sorts of 80s groups, and you threw in a remix of those songs and you see them perk up and they're grooving to it. I love it. I mean, I still play that today just to get people. It gets them on the dance floor. It gets them going, it gets them grooving, it gets them buying drinks, right? So, and that's the main thing. But I wanted to see what goes on in your head if you still, you get ideas from other types of genres to build your, let's say, your palette, your musical palette, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course. So, I try to do a lot of driving, so I'm always listening.
Oh yeah,
always different channels, different music. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the perfect sort of like old 80s track that's just gonna think that's the one I'm gonna mess around with. This is the one. But a few ideas,
man,
I'm still waiting.
It gives you that horizon to look for. It's out there. It's there, man. I tell you.
Yeah.
You still have any of your equipment back then when you were DJing?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I've still got my decks, my Technics, and all that. They're all still stuck in the cupboard, gathering dust, and all my records are in there, just all waiting to be put into the studio and get back on.
Yeah.
Do you know, as soon as I get on the studio, I know for a fact, as soon as I'm going to do, there'll be a record straight on, and I'll be ripping samples. So, okay, that's how I listen to these tracks from back in the day.
Yeah.
And I've still got all the little tiny little ones as well, the 45s. So many of them, like with all the old stuff on Salt and Pepper and all the rest of it, back in the day. So I'll be having a good listen, to see what I can pick.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. And you have to get the younger generation back into that. That listening of all the old school stuff. And I have 3 boys, and my oldest is 24, youngest is 19, and they love to come to. They enjoy if I'm throwing a party at a local bar, for our mature crowd. They'll bring their buddies in because they love that old school music. I'll play the R&B, the hip hop, the old classics, and they love that stuff. Mind you, they love the rap stuff today, but to get them exposed to the old school, we need to bring that back for them so they understand the roots of that music. you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's unfortunately some people that are, their mindset is not. I get it. Hey, man, it's their choice of music, and that's how it's going to be, right? Did you get into more of gigs? Like, were you hired to DJ some clubs or some private parties and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, but once I finally cracked the spinning of two records together,
Yeah.
I was lucky enough obviously to be around friends who were doing the similar thing. We all met in the club, you know what I mean, the shindig and stuff. We're all buying records and trying to get out there and play. So yeah, I managed to get out and about in Newcastle quite often, playing in different bars. How I met Robbie Robinson, he used to have nights on called Bobstock Nights in Newcastle. So I used to go along and play for his nights, and that's how we kind of met and became friends. Robbie was like doing events at that point and putting shows on. Was doing all right, playing little things here, there, and everywhere. But then me dad passed away with cancer. We had like a year when he was diagnosed, so everything sort of just went out the window at that point. You know what I mean? The music got put to one side, things changed, and I kind of I thought that was me done with music, if I'm honest. I thought, that's gone now. I'm kind of like, I had a break of maybe, I don't know, 3-4 years, I think it was at the time, just trying to focus on life, and met my wife and got married, and my son and all the rest of it was born. And
Awesome,
then,
man.
One of my friends, Gavin Wrighton, and I think it was about 2017, just says, look, I'm putting on this unique night in the top of Newcastle in an airfield hangar called Hangar 300. I want you to come and play. Like, you haven't played for so long. Get your decks. Let's do this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, oh, shut up. And then I went and played, and you know what it's like. Everything comes flooding back. As soon as you're back up there playing again in front of everybody, I was like, oh, man, the bug is back. Oh dear.
The bug. It's exactly how it starts for everybody at our age. We go into a hiatus, whether it's good or bad. We go into a hiatus, and then there's something that triggers to say, "Holy shit, man, this is great!" Like, you're in your situation with that Hangar 300. In mine, I got back into DJing maybe 15 years ago, heavily into it. Back then, I took a long hiatus because obviously getting married and having a career, making money so we can support everything. But to get back, so I a friend of mine said, hey, listen, my wife is turning 40. I want you to DJ her party. I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? Crack open all the vinyl and the decks and that sort of stuff. And then I went back into it and I never stopped. I just kept going. I'm like, holy crap, this is fantastic. So, I think there's always that hiatus and a trigger, and then you're back into it again. And
but I have to say, I'm enjoying it more now than what I did back then, which is a bit. I think it's because I'm when I picked back up the decks again, and I came back home, and I was telling the wife saying, okay, I'm going to do this again. She's like, oh dear, okay, let's see how this is going to go. But I said to her, I'm going to do this differently this time. It's pointless going and doing the same thing again, because the same thing will happen. That I'll just be playing here, there, and everywhere, a little few bits. I'm going to learn how to make music. That was my thing. Like, this is the difference. I'm going to be an artist this time. Like, I've got a chance. I feel regenerated. You know what I mean? Thinking this is something I need to do, and this is kind of like what I've been doing since then. And it's working. You know what I mean? This is working. Whatever I'm doing, the process I'm doing, it's starting to take shape. Which is
that's awesome, man.
Which I'm pleased, because it's been a journey the last few years. Putting the grass.
Of course, man. I mean, I've obviously with COVID, and I don't like to. I don't want to talk about that side of things, because it just it, not that it upsets me, but it's like it does, because it really hurt a lot of businesses, the shutdowns, the unnecessary shutdowns. So I mean, I just try to focus on more the positive side of things, like like what you've done. It's I think where you've started, what you've done, and what you've got and achieved, I think it's fantastic. You have a story. That's what my podcast is about, is my guest sharing their story on how they develop their business, the music, and life all around it. That's exactly how I like to express to other people what we're talking about. And so you're getting into the production side of music. What if will you get back into DJing a bit? Like if someone says, hey, listen, play this for me, or come out tonight and play a set for me, would you still do it?
Yeah, maybe. Depends. I had someone ask us a while ago saying, oh, there's a space. I need someone to cover for this wedding. And I was like, I'm really sticking to my guns here. Like, I'm trying to be an artist. Like, I'm tempted, but I'm thinking, no.
Sure.
Because just before COVID, I did have the first headline booking as Col Lawton. And that was like a big thing. Like, okay, I'm getting booked for me to go and play. And it was amazing. I went down to this place in Hull. It was a great night. My friends come, headlined. It was brilliant. And then obviously COVID came after that. And it was like, the brakes are on. But that was just me thinking, this is doable. You know what I mean? That's the first time that's happened. So there's no reason why I can't keep pushing. But then the other thing with Deep Fix is that we all work under Deep Fix. So we push Deep Fix in the festivals. So we've got like 3 festivals coming up this year in England for Deep Fix.
Awesome.
Where we all play. We bring our Deep Fix producers to come and play. We fly them in, or if they're local, they'll come in. Yeah. So there's 2 avenues I've got going on now. I've got my own little movement for me as an artist, but under Deep Fix, we're all a team and we put events on. So yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. Let's talk. Let's talk about the event side of things. I love it because I've been trying to build this event for the Toronto House Music Festival before COVID hit, and we were this close to launching it, and it went to shit because of COVID. But tell me about the events you have in the UK. You have 3 events you're going to be hosting. You're hosting it, or you're part of it.
Part of it. There's we've got plans to do other things, but there's a one in Newcastle called the House of Barefoot, who's our good friend Johnny Stowart. He's kind of like put this festival on over the last few years, and he's gone big this year. He's gone big. He's bringing in big artists. He's spending a lot of money. You've got the Nick Warrens coming, you know what I mean? You've got like one of the Howards is coming. It's a big event.
Big names, yeah.
But then he's give us a tent. He's give us a place in the festival solely for Deep Fix for one night, and it's kind of like that's our night. So this is our chance to sort of like show everybody who we are when they come. The Deep Fix stuff. We've got merchandise to give out. We're going to really push as a business on this event to kind of like do the best we can. But this will be something that we'll do every year with Johnny. So if he succeeds, we'll continue to be part of this event.
Yeah.
The second one is I have a good friend called Trish Rain, and he runs festivals called Scoop Festival, again in the Northeast. And first time he's approached us and said, "Look, I want Deep Fix to be the music in this event every year." And what he's doing is he has a stately home with bands that play, which is honestly, Dave, you should see this stately home. It's unbelievable, so nice. But then there's a little forest on the side, and Deep Fix are in the forest, so it's like secret disco in the forest with Deep Fix recordings. It's all going to be a little smoke machine. It's going to be a bit quirky. But this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to we're trying to make it quirky and interesting. So when people come and see us, and we've just got a little thing that we're doing as well. This other little event that we're doing. But there is a little plan forming around America at the minute, which I'm quite excited about. We're trying to stay quite grounded. Through Deep Fix. We're starting to take the right direction for what we're trying to do with the event, you know?
Yeah, man. The train's rolling, man. The train's rolling, you know? So that is awesome. Have you been to America? You been to North America?
No.
No, eh?
No. This is why I'm getting excited about staying grounded. Please, come on.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to visit. I'd love to visit the UK, and, I've had the opportunity to visit the European side of things, but the UK, it's obviously speaking to the other guests and DJs, producers, this is a way different atmosphere than you would get, in America. I was talking to Maya Stone, and she's, she does a lot of, I guess, the acid house style, and
she does. Maya.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Big up to her, and she's, she's a hustler. I admire what she does, and I'm going to get her on my show. She was talking about how it was back in the 80s and 90s, and how house music was, up here. It was so great. It was up here. There's tons of clubs, and then it just sort of not got saturated, but I guess it pivoted to a different direction of some genres, and it wiped out a lot of the clubs and turned off a lot of people. But so I admire the countryside of that, trying to bring back the house music, and we need that back in America, at least in Canada. In Toronto, we're bringing it back. We got a ton of DJs, awesome DJs in Toronto, and producers that want to come back and do something. And we're going to bring back a festival. We're going to create a festival. I'd love to have you guys be part of that once we get things rolling, and we'll talk about that more offline. But definitely, we got to get more of the UK side back in here to show the kind of music that it was back then. I think it's great. I mean, man, not being in America, what's one place you want to visit if you come here?
Well, fingers crossed, we're planning on going to California way, and I'm very keen. San Francisco. Yeah. Love to visit. I'm sure San Diego is another place that we're planning on going. So I'm really keen of exploring that side of things. I am very keen on seeing New York. It's just one of them things that go to America, go and see New York. For sure. It's like go and smell the place. Apparently, I need to go have a smell.
Well, there's some bad places to smell there, but
But yeah, so the New York stuff. But I'm loving the idea of the California side of stuff. California sun, Vegas, all and bits and bobs. Yeah, just the whole.
Oh, Jesse Saunders, big up in Vegas and San Diego. He's there, right? So, he's a cool cat. I mean, I'm glad you hooked up with him. I mean, he's a legend, man, when it comes to that sort of stuff. And for you to be part of that and him asking to remix something or produce something, phenomenal. Big up to you on that, man. It's awesome. I really,
I was so nervous when I worked with him. When he asked us to do a remix of his 80s classic track, and I was like, I told my friend, and I played the track room, and he's like, "Oh, it's good." And I was like, "No, I don't like it. I don't think it's good enough." I was like,
you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it.
And I never do that, David. Honestly, I never do that. Normally, I just go with how I feel, and I actually binned that track and put it in the bin. I thought, right. I'm going to work how I normally would work. I'm just going to go. Right. I'll try to force it, and that was the first time I realized I was trying to make something that wasn't truly for me. And then when I did the second one, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh, this is great." I was like, "Pressure's off." I was like, "Thank God for
that." But he would also tell you if he'd say, "Hey, listen, man, let's work on a bit of this, change this up a little bit." He would have done that. Did he go back to, or did he grab the track and say, "This is phenomenal"?
Pretty much, and he actually said to us, "This is very rare for me to take a track and not actually ask people to tweak it." So I was like, "Wow,
man, that's good cool. Shit, man."
I'll have a bit of
that. Oh yeah, in Newcastle, a lot of pubs in your area, or what?
Yeah. Oh mate, we're like a drinking nation, the Northeast. Where I'm from, we're like renowned for the mines and Newcastle Brown Ale and going out on a Friday, Saturday and getting drunk and having a fight in one of the bars. Yeah. So it's our culture in our area. You know what I mean? There's a lot of Newcastle city centre bars, clubs. It's really lively. Right. You know what I mean? We have different sections though. It's funny. You've got the cheesy section. You've got the cool cats with the wine bars, the expensive money, and then you've got the club inside. Where you can find some cool clubs. Underground stuff.
That'd be kind of cool. Do you have is there any rivalries between you guys? Like, is there parts of where there's rivalries when it comes to bars?
Not for bars, but for areas. So we're next to somewhere called Sunderland. So Newcastle and Sunderland is the big derby. You know what I mean? If you're from Sunderland, you hate Newcastle. And we're literally especially football. Football's a big one in our area. So that's kind of where the rivalry. But for bars, very much not really. Everyone
just goes and drinks.
So a friendly place, mate. Everyone just as long as there's drink flowing, nobody cares.
Hey, man. Honestly, it's exactly what it is. Just when the drinks are happening, drinks are flowing, people there's no hatred, man. Just have a good time and enjoy ourselves. I get the football. We have it. There's always like that with hockey on our side, but it's good rivalry. Nothing crazy, right? But where do you see Deep Fix Records in the next 2 years?
Oh, 2 years. What kind of?
I know 2 years. I would say 5 years, but sometimes 5 years is too long. You always want to get it done sooner.
Things is moving really quick with Deep Fix Records, I have to say. Every time we get together, there's something else going on. There's more stuff coming, or there's more ideas. Yeah. At the minute, we're really pushing merchandise. So glow in the dark T-shirts, coats. We've got these wacky glasses that we're going to be giving out when we're at festivals and stuff. So over the next couple of years, it's all about really cementing the business through merchandise. So people get to see our brand, get to see what we're doing, coming up with different ideas. We're actually making a bit of a mascot, like a fifth member at the minute, which is funny. We're well known as a team of, like, we always have a bit of a malfunction. Things go wrong. We never get it right, but we're very open and honest about how we are as people.
For
like,
sure.
We laugh about it when the show goes tits up and it goes wrong. So we've invented something called malfunction. That's what he's called. And he's the fifth member. So we're actually getting him drawn as animation at the minute. So he's going to join the team. Yeah. But again, we're just trying to bring stuff to the label that's fun. You know what I mean? Like, come and join our label. Like, we're not serious. We're normal. You know what I mean? We've got merchandise. We give out stuff. But the music side of thing is that we want to build on the brand for bookings. There's three who DJ, and all three will have different styles. So I always have this vision that if you book Deep Fix, you have a choice of who do you want to book. Is it me? Is it Wes? Or is it Robbie? Or do you want all three of them? You know what I mean? Depending on who you want, what style you want, we can provide that style for you. I would love to see Deep Fix to have like a regular booking, say in Ibiza, somewhere abroad, somewhere that we've managed to get in with, like a club or a company, and we know we're going there every year. Again, just to kind of like have that continuity of, we know that we've got a base, we go there every year, people get to follow us.
Nice.
And then the other bit with it is locally as well. We're really trying locally, because even in Newcastle, I'm always a believer that, you know, your roots should come from Newcastle and you should spread out through fans. We still need to find a base in a club or a bar in Newcastle that has us on regular, like a residency. So that's kind of like where we're at the minute. We're trying to find that place, but we're just trying to find the right place. We're not in a rush. We don't have to push it. We don't have to jump in any bar because it's a bar. Like, no.
Yeah.
We're trying to find the right place at the right time. That'll work for us, you know. So we're kind of like waiting for that to happen as well. And then hopefully with signing, we'll keep on signing good artists, really, and we keep growing as a team. But most importantly, we all still enjoy it. We all get on. We haven't fallen out. we all still have fun as a team. Yes.
Yeah. You're not going to kill each other, you know.
No, that's where we're at the minute. I mean, when we get together on a Thursday, it's like music therapy. And we have so much fun. You know what I mean? So as long as we're enjoying it, it's like that's that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. That is fantastic. I mean, Cole, this has been great. I mean, you know, I after the podcast, when we edit it, I'm going to add your you know, where they can find you, and you know, any DJs or producers that want to send tracks, I'll send directly to their website. You know, and listen, man, this has been fantastic. I mean, I think you guys, I think you know, watching you from before, I think I played one of your tracks a few years back on one of my sets, and on our internet radio, which is still going, and you know, and just to see things grow, and you see people, you know, do their thing, and it's awesome, and that's what I like listening and hearing about you and your company, and I think it's great. Thanks so much for being a guest on my show. You know, the UK to Canada to back to UK, you know, we'll eventually get out there and be one and see everybody and get along. I think it'll be fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if there's any last things you want to say to upcoming producers,
I would definitely say that up and coming producers is speak to other producers. Like, it's a lonely game. It can be, but I'm really lucky now because I've got Wes with me now. He's my wingman now for like sending music to. What do you think of this, mate? Do you think this is shit? Is it good? And I think you need that. You know, you need that. And if any up and coming producers want to send it to me directly, just hit me up on Facebook. I do this all the time. People send me music. I let them know what I think. I give them advice, and that's what I like doing. So I'm really open to anything. If anybody ever wants to chat with me, like, please do send it on.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, listen, man, I wish you all the best and huge success, and we'll definitely look out for your festivals and hopefully get you back on our side, and we can work together in some music this way as well, because I'm sure Jackman would love to see you out here as well. And
that'd be amazing. I would love to come to meet you. It'd be great.
Yeah, man, for sure. Cole, all the best to you, man. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.